Hello, everyone. How are you? We are live today, which is September 9th, 2018. And we are going to be talking about not networking is not working at all. So that title, actually, I stole it from our lovely John Sinclair, who will be our certified life coach, who's going to talk to us about it today. So, guys, I'm going to be waiting for a few of us for you to join us. But in the meantime, we will continue to just have little chit chats here and there. Please get ready to begin sharing this live, because the best thing that could happen is for people to get it from the top of the hour instead of even having to trying to catch up with us, so that we would at least minimally have an interactive live. So thanks to everyone who has started to join us so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the rest of you guys, as I've asked you before, go ahead and share. So guys, as I said, the topic today will be not networking, not working. And as I shared with some of you earlier, it's considered a dirty word by some, including me. Okay. It's considered a dirty word, and you wonder, why do we consider that a dirty word? But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pause for a second, and I am going to do some housekeeping, meaning sharing on my pages, so that other people can also join us. So just give me one moment. And Jan, if you want to do the same thing in the meantime, feel free, if you want to.
I absolutely will.
Okay.
Let's
Awesome.
just get into that.
That allows more people to get to see us. Here we are. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. So hey, Jerome, thanks for joining us. Please definitely go ahead and share. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All righty, so we have pretty much done our housekeeping part, so we are getting ready to kick off. And as I said, guys, it will be awesome. Hey. So Jerome is saying hello. I'm not sure if you can see the comments, Jan, but
Not at the moment. I'm still waiting to catch up. Of course, it has to come across the pond, so it takes a little bit longer.
Okay. Yes, guys. So one of the things I would say is that Jan is actually located in the UK. So I'm extremely grateful for her that she would take the time out to stay up. You know, it's nighttime for her over there now. So of course, I'm very grateful that she has chosen to agree to her time and to participate. Okay, so let's dive right in. So my name is Judy Ann. I'm your leadership coach at Coaching You Upward, where basically I focus on go-getters, high performers, leaders who just basically want to get the job done and take their ideas from concept to reality. So of course that includes a plethora of different types of people, because it's a personality type. The people who just are impatient, just wants to get it done. And as you can hear my phone in the background that I've forgotten to put on vibrate, which I'll do just right now. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. And of course, I have a 20 plus years of financial services experience where, you've gone through the gamut. I've worked in investment banking for pretty much most of my career. And leadership coaching now is something that I definitely felt was at this point of my life to walk within my purpose, to be able to help people and utilize my experience corporately to also infuse that with my leadership coaching to how better that I can serve people that I come in contact with. So that's a little bit about me. And as I shared with you before, we are speaking today with Jan Sinclair, who's a certified life coach. And she is located in the UK, but she's an island girl. Okay.
I certainly am.
Right? Go ahead.
I was going to say, don't let the accent deceive you.
Right. It does mean she's been living there a long time, but she's truly an island girl. So, of course, much love, right? All right.
Indeed.
So So who is Jan Sinclair? Jan is she, when I was looking at Jan's bio, right? As I said, she's a certified life coach, but she says life is not a dress rehearsal. We all get one chance to live our lives, long or short. The long part on that one, Jan.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? I believe that we should all aim to live our very best life and make it count. My coaching practice is all about inspiring, motivating, and empowering people to reach for the very best version of themselves, no matter what age you are and what you have done to date. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. She's a mom of two grown daughters. One is 28 and 30, I think.
28
Okay.
and 32.
And 32, right? Who are basically grown and they're, operating their career and is quite happy. Jan is also a survivor of divorce, and she's here to tell us that there is life after divorce, as she was married for 28 years. And she is very much true to her calling. She's also a professional and she enjoys landscaping. She's an artist. She does singing. Actually, she's trying to be a little bit humble on the singing part because I actually got to see a video of her singing. I was like, oh, that's Jan. So she's trying to be a little bit humble. But anyway, we digress. And she loves to travel and she loves to visit air shows and she calls herself a geek at heart.
I am, yeah.
All right. So that's just a little bit about Jan. And so her coaching practice is called Sinclair Coaching Practice. So we're going to drop in the comment section the details afterwards for people who would like to get in contact with Jan. But again, her coaching practice is called Sinclair Coaching Practice. All righty. So that's a bit about Jan. So let's get right on to it. And for the guys again, for who have joined us recently, as I said, thank you for coming on board with us today. Or normal singles. I used to do that. This is no. I just go on rewind, right? Right. So no, this is, even though singles are welcome to listen to us too, because networking is all about, it doesn't matter your status. So it's neither here nor there. But anyway, so let's get right on to it. So again, as we said, the topic for today's live is not networking is not working. So people said to me, why would you say not networking is not working? Well, first, before we answer that question, let us define what is your definition of networking. So I'm going to put that over to Jan. Jan?
Thank you, Judy Ann. First of all, let me just say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to, be part of this. And for everybody out there, hi from the UK. I'm on the south coast of the UK. It was really sunny today. It's 9 o'clock, but I think I'm wearing well and I'm really glad to be here. Okay. So, Judy Ann, what's my definition? I would say my definition of networking is making connections. You then start to build a relationship and you exchange information. And that leads to potential professional development and growth.
Okay. So you said making connections first, then you're beginning to build
a relationship.
Build a relationship and exchange information.
Absolutely.
Now, would you exchange your information before you develop the relationship?
No. So where I've been successful, so everybody has a way of networking, okay? Mm-hmm. My friends tell me that this is something that I do very well.
Yes.
And so they often ask me, how do I do it? I think it's important that if you're making that connection and you'd like that person to be in your, circle or your network going forward, I think it's good to build a bit of a relationship, get to know something personal about them, whether it's children or a hobby or, if they sing or something, just something before you move in to kind of make a request from them.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yes, I did hear that about you. That's actually why I came to you about the networking. She's kind of considered amongst her, different people about being a bit of a, networking comes so seamless and so easy to her. So let me give you a background of one of the reasons I decided to do the topic. For obviously, we are aware of the importance of networking. However, my experience in a lot of networking corporately, that is, has always been, always is a strong word. Sometimes it tends to be, okay, there's a bit of an agenda behind it. And I once wrote those inspiration quotes that I write in the mornings. And I said, a 5-second genuine, how are you, is better than a 2-minute networking, right? So the reason I wrote that is because sometimes when people ask you, how are you? They're not really interested in the real answer. They want that whole perfunctory, oh, I'm good, so they can continue on their day without having to invest that time with you to actually, be interested in actually, how are you? So that's one of the reasons why for me, initially, networking was like, okay. However, what I realized after a while is that I cover Latin America, and that involves 7 to 8 branches. And every branch that I went into, I had a seamless relationship with them, even if something about the work is challenging. So then I realized, how is that possible that I cannot be a fan of networking, but yet still I was great at having these relationships? And, it came down, they had to do a 360. And there was one word that came up all the time. And these are different managers at different levels, including managers in different countries and different cultures. So what I wanted was trust. And I was like, okay. So it also gave, that is like, liquid gold, right? Because it made me realize that was key to my relationship with them. It made me realize that's why I was seen like the poster child for Latin America. You know what I mean? Anything with Latin America, as Judy Ann, right? Because I was the only one that they would actually be completely transparent with when it comes to anything to do with the work, because they knew they could trust me. So what I had done without even knowing it was to create that relationship, what we now call networking. Okay.
So the interesting thing there is when you hear the word networking, some people immediately, it just puts the fear of God in them. It's like, networking, that is something I don't want to do. But what I'm going to recommend is, if that word does something to you and make you, all of a sudden go stiff, or there's a level of fear, feel free to delete that word. From this day forward, okay, it's just an event. So if you think about networking event, let's cross out networking and just call it an event. Because you're going to be doing exactly the same thing as you would without thinking about it. Yes, for business, for corporate, you might take a few additional steps to prepare yourself. But all you're doing is making a connection and talking.
Right. And so let's take it a little bit further too, though, to what I had shared about on the building side of things. So what I've shared, what I found out with the 360, with the word trust. So, they also say, so we can even indirectly, we'll go back and forth between corporate and business networking, where corporately and even the business realm, they say people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So, based on the story that I just shared, is that these different managers, as I said, different levels, it can be from the regional managing director, down to the directors, VPs, etc., and their staff, one word that kept up was trust. So again, I would think it's the same thing in the business realm. If somebody trusts you, they've now gotten to know you, and they recognize that there's something about you that would allow them to trust you, because maybe you're consistent, maybe you do what you say you're supposed to do, whatever it is, but they've been able to build that level of trust with you, and now we'll be able to do business with you. So, as you said, coming back to possibly removing that word and reframing it to relationship building. I mean, that works for me. If you said, oh, Judy, let's build a relationship. All right, I'm on board. Networking. Oh, let my brain just rewire for a moment, and go to the negative to the positive and say, oh, it's actually a relationship. Like, oh, okay. I can do that.
It's a conversation.
Exactly.
It's a possibility of adding another person to your network or circle that you
Right.
may be able to do business with in the
Mhm.
future. That's all. Keeping it simple.
Exactly. Exactly. Alrighty, great. Thank you. So, the one of the other questions that I have for you says, okay, when you were networking on the job, all right, what are some of the do's and don'ts that you would recommend?
Okay, I would say do be sincere.
Okay.
Okay, if you think about why you want to network with somebody,
Right.
okay, you might want to network with somebody because they could become a trusted advisor within
Mhm.
your community. They're known as a thought leader.
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
so just think about the why. Okay, the do's, I would say, if you go to a networking event and you've taken a card and you say, "Oh, I'll contact you tomorrow," or "I'll contact you," please follow through.
Right.
And so you've said you're going to do it, then you'll
Mhm.
do it. And
Right.
then, as I said, start to build a relationship, learn
Mhm.
a little something about them before you go in with the ask.
All right.
On the don't side, please don't stalk the person. And so, everywhere you go after you've met them, it's kind of, oh, you're here again. Oh, hello, you're here again. And it gets a bit, creepy. So
Right.
I'd say, we don't want to stalk anybody. And let it not be all about you when you're speaking to them. Give them time to talk and
Mhm.
that gift of listening, because they
Right.
might drop something in that conversation that you go, aha,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they could drop something in the conversation that you can pick up next time that you see them. And they'll
Right.
be like, how did she remember that?
Mhm. Mhm.
And there you go, that relationship starts to move forward.
Right. I remember I once read where it says that one of the key things, if, especially about children, there's something about if you ask someone about their child, that it just suddenly perks them up. Where if you remember that, they had a child that was graduating and you said, oh, so what are they doing now? How was the graduation? Even if you met them a year later, for
Yeah,
some reason, that is actually, it does something that allows them to think, oh, okay, she remembered, golly, So yeah, okay,
absolutely. The
right.
other one is
Hmm.
maybe a hobby or a life event. I'm going to be running the marathon. Oh, did you run the marathon? How did that go? That
Right.
could be even your follow up script next time that says, hey, just checking in. How did you do with your marathon? We said we'd have a coffee. Let me know if it's the right time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So no, we talked about stalking. So let's talk about that a little bit further. Okay.
If we have to, yes.
Right? Yes, 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 we have to.
Okay.
Okay. So now, we have LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has evolved to
Hmm.
where it's not just what it used to be. Before it was something that, you do. Some people were on it, some people were not on it. But now the different data research has shown that they have now become one of the I think, number one for
Yeah.
B2B and in some instances B2C. Now, I was actually talking to a hiring manager the other day, and he was even saying to me, Judy, we don't even use recruiters that much anymore. I was like, really? He says, no, because all we have to do is just post our jobs on LinkedIn, and we have a plethora of people who will apply. So there's really no reason for them to be concerned about even using recruiters in some instances. That's how powerful now LinkedIn has become. So 9 out of 10 times, I think you can take it to the bank that there's going to be some kind of virtual stalking that will occur.
Well, one of the things that I do when I'm going through one of my coaching practices, coaching sessions, should I say,
Hmm.
we talk about personal branding,
Right.
okay? Building your reputation, being
Mhm.
known for something, thought leadership. But I
Right.
also talk about that virtual
Right.
reputation,
Hmm.
okay? And so if you put it out there, it's going to be out there, okay?
Right.
People can then also have a look and pick it apart and said, oh, she said she did this, but maybe she didn't do that. And yes, a lot of people will now go to that medium to
Hmm.
look at everything that you've done, can
Right.
check in with who you know, and
Hmm.
maybe get a recommendation before they start spending the dollars on the actual interview process. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So, guys, you heard it here about what they will actually do. So
Yep.
it's not even just stalking, virtual stalking in one direction. It's a two-way street. You have the companies that are doing that, and as you said, they may check in with other people that you don't even know, because before, usually, remember the olden days at the bottom, I'm aging myself now, at the bottom where you said references provided upon request. Remember?
Yep.
Okay, all right. But we know we don't do that anymore, right? That's been a long, many moons ago. But
Yeah.
okay, all right, fair enough. So, all right, so let's talk about uh, it being a necessary evil, if you will, both professionally and socially. I know we've touched on some bits about it, but if you can expand on that, and then feel free to also take it even in a social, personal setting.
Okay. Thank you. It is necessary.
Mhm.
And we're not going to get away from that. And the reason why is that if you think, I was thinking about this today in just terms of forming a few bits and pieces. So think about a school, okay? A lot of kids have gone back to school. You've got a headmaster or a headmistress that is at the head of the school. And last year, or only a few months ago, they had a team which they knew very well. The dynamics worked a particular way, and that they've left school or went into the holidays with a, success. Now they're
Mhm.
coming back in September. They've got new teachers,
Mhm.
they've got new children,
Mhm.
and different people are moving into different classes. So now, them, although they wouldn't call it networking, but they're networking like crazy because
Right.
they're talking to people in the playground, say the children, talking to each other in the playground, and they're forming judgments as to, can I trust that person? Is that person I want as part of my group? Is that person who's going to come to my birthday party in November, even though it's September? Will they be on my Christmas list? Right?
Right.
For the teacher, headmaster, he's saying, right, okay, so who's going to be my trusted go-to person? Because my person's now left. So
Mhm.
without even thinking about it, we are networking. We stand at the bus stop, okay,
Right.
and you might make a conversation like, oh my God, it's rainy today. Oh, hasn't it been hot, etc., etc. You've broken the ice, okay? So we do it all the time. The difference is, again, when we go to an event,
Mhm.
all of us, maybe 90% of us don't know each other.
Right.
Okay. And when we get there, we are looking for somebody to make a connection. So maybe it's an eye connection first, right?
Right.
You're standing there. And so, you make yourself ready, be in the room, look like you're interested at least to be there. You
Right.
wouldn't want to waste your time not going, right? So if you
Right.
get there, put away the phone and, you're standing, you've dressed well, you're in your comfy shoes, dress, whatever, best lipstick, whatever it is, a gentleman, nice suit. And
Okay.
you're making yourself kind of welcoming. Hey, how you doing? If it's a lady, one of the things I do, I look for things to open up the conversation, that
Okay.
icebreaker, right?
Mhm.
I might
Mhm.
say, oh, is that a Prada bag, right? Not really Prada, but Prada bag, right? Or
Right.
those are nice pair of shoes. And people like to be noticed for something. We're human beings, right? So
Right.
look for that little something. It might be a badge that is makes you an alumni of something.
Mhm.
Oh, I
Mhm.
recognize the badge. That's a, I know, football badge. Men like to talk about sport. There's so many different things that we can talk about to just break that ice. But don't
Right.
overthink it.
Right. Okay. So it's funny that you talk about, the way you carry yourself and the way you present, because you spoke about branding a few seconds ago. And yes, the minute you go into, well, you don't even have to be at a networking function, because you just gave the example of the kid going back to school.
Hmm.
And basically, so you're basically what you just said, or at least what I heard, was
Hmm.
you're a walking, talking, branding, networking person.
Okay,
That's what
so
I heard.
now you put it that way, I guess I am. However, I don't think about it that way, and that's a difference. Yeah.
Right.
So people would say, "Oh, yeah, Jan's always," but it's become natural. I mean, this is over 15 years now, 15 to 20 years, right? So,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of just something that I do. When I first started, it wasn't so good, Judy Ann. I remember going in room full of men. By day I work for a technology company full
Right.
of men. Okay, the only black woman in the room, the
Mhm.
only woman in the room. So you can imagine, I've had to kind of pick up courage and say, you can do this. Find somebody who looks friendly and go over and say something. They
Right.
then become your host and go, hey, this is Jan Sinclair. She's new. Be nice, introduce. And before you know it, you now know two or three people. And the
Mm-hmm.
next time you see them, you can say, hey, I met you at.
Right.
Yeah, practice.
Right. Right. Okay. So I'm going to get into the personality types when it comes to networking. And I'm noticing some changes in light here. I assure you, there is no lights flickering here. I think outside here it's sunny. It was sunny in the UK. Well, it's been raining all day here, and I guess there's some shifting going on outside with the I don't know if
Yeah.
it's lightning or whatever. But I've noticed like the light keeps changing. But I assure you, there's nothing flickering on my side. That's all
Okay.
righty. So, okay, so would you give in how we would operate differently, whether we are at a business networking function versus in a corporate function? But before you answer, let me just acknowledge. So I see Dr. Carla Cook on the line. Thank you so much for joining us. And I also see Angela Anderson, who has been one of my guests here, number one HR expert. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And please do feel free to go ahead and share this live on your respective pages. Thank you. Alrighty, so coming back to the question. So would you operate fundamentally a lot differently than you would if it was for business networking versus, say, corporate networking?
I would put business and corporate as one thing, Judy Ann.
Okay.
And then some people talk about social networking, which
Mm-hmm.
is something I don't personally do because
Okay.
my friends are my friends and they'll introduce me to people and my network organically grows that way. But
Right.
in terms of business and corporate, I would say it's one of the same. And what I do differently is that I have an elevator speech. So
Okay.
I'm never stuck with when somebody says, and who are you? I can
Right.
say, my name's Jan Sinclair. This is what I do by day. I'm interested in this and I'm interested in that. I also try and keep that conversation to about, there's a magic 7-minute rule, right? When you're
Okay.
networking that says, we don't want to talk them to death, right?
Right.
And I know I could if I really tried. So 7 minutes, have that conversation, a little bit about you, a little bit about them, exchange your business cards with a view to catch up at another time and
Right.
work the room and go and speak to as many people as you can. So you're not hogging one person's space.
Right. And also, when you hog that one person, you're preventing them from also meeting other people too. So they may
Absolutely.
not view you positively afterwards. They may have a negative impact instead. Okay.
Indeed.
All right. So the other area that I want to move into is personality types. So do you think it's easier for an extrovert to to network versus an introvert? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, it is easier. Let's be
Okay.
frank. It is easier. However, because if, you speak to an extrovert and you say, do you want to come out? They're going to say, yeah, I want to go out. I find it easy to talk. I like to be around people. An introvert, and I've got a lot of friends that are introvert, will go, no, Jan, do we have to? I'd rather stay at home. I'm not
Right.
comfortable speaking with people. Okay. So they may choose that.
Mm-hmm.
They recognize that networking is important, okay, and
Right.
they're going to prepare themselves and they're probably going to learn the process, right? So get themselves ready in terms of having business cards always ready, having
Mm-hmm.
an elevator pitch, down
Mm-hmm.
pat, practicing in front of that mirror to say,
Okay.
my name is, this is what I do. So when you're asked, it's better to be prepared and not be asked than to
Right.
be asked and not be prepared. That was one of the
Right.
things, right? And I always say, you could be getting in a lift with somebody. We say
Mm-hmm.
lift, you guys say elevator, right?
Right.
So the thing that
Guys,
goes
forgive
up,
her. She's Brit.
yeah, forgive me, okay? You know, that elevator speech that you are going to learn, you can use that time and time again because you could get in a lift with somebody and
Mm-hmm.
from the first floor to the 18th floor, you're going to have a conversation. And they may say, what is it that you do? And I would say what you do rather than your job title. That's really important. Yeah.
Right.
By day, I'm in global mobility. However, what is my job? Well, frankly, I stop people going to prison because I ensure that the right compliance posture is in place for when we travel from one country to another. And that
Right.
gets people's thinking going. Prison?
Right.
What do you mean prison?
Right.
Now I
Right.
can speak a little bit more. Yeah.
Oh, you see, I like that because, as you said, if somebody said to me, "Oh, I'm a like I do risk," right? If
Yeah.
I say to you, "Oh, I'm a risk manager," versus if I say I protect the bank from fraud, right?
There you go.
That's a whole different
Yeah.
dynamics in terms of conversation, in terms of even piquing the curiosity to want to hear a
Yeah.
little bit more about you.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's one key takeaway that I think people can, take from this conversation,
Yeah.
wherein it's not important so much for you to give your title. It's more important for you to say, what you actually do and make it sound in such a way. You're not going to embellish, but you're going to
No.
make it sound in such a way that it's actually, they want to hear a bit more. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
All righty. Okay. All right. So, what would you recommend that the introvert do? I mean, I know you said, have the business cards, practice your elevator pitch, but sometimes they can even practice it and still be a little bit, unsure of themselves. So let's move to maybe like body language. Like, how should they, carry if needs be? See that they already have that, oh my gosh, I don't want to be here. I'm an introvert to begin with. How could they come out of that and give a different image?
Okay. So I'm going to say you could get yourself a mentor for a very short while
Okay.
and learn from them. Okay. If
Mm-hmm.
you've got, and also a mentor is more likely to take you, or you can request to be taken along to your first networking event. So you've got a hand to hold and in a safe
Okay.
environment. They can
Mm-hmm.
also act as a host for you and introduce you. So this is Judy Ann, this is what she does, it's her first time, etc., etc.
Right.
If you want to engage with your coach can role play,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So, okay, and this is one of the things I do, shaking the hand,
Mm-hmm.
making eye contact. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes, you shake somebody's hand, sometimes it's like, oh, ooh,
Yes.
okay. Or you shake somebody's hand and it's like, oh, okay, let go. Thank you. Because it's that vice grip and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
just getting it right because you're making contact. Hands
Right.
are, yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, you can do that, role play with your coach until you feel comfortable. And
Right.
then again, your coach could take you out as well. And then just finding a good networking role model. You've probably got them in your families and you've got
Mm-hmm.
them as friends as well. So don't be shy. Just ask, say, how do you do that? How do you do that? Show me. And they'll
Right.
give you some hints and tips for sure.
Right. And I think it also helps if the person actually travels, because I know I like to travel. And it's nothing for me to turn around to somebody, I have no clue who you are. Okay. You could be Jeffrey Dahmer or whatever his name is, and I'll turn around like, hi.
Yeah.
Before you know it, I'm having that conversation with him or her and not having a clue who they are. So it's so interesting to me works in terms of that we are really truly networking and not even recognizing that we are.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I just wanted to also acknowledge Donna Scott. I see you and thank you so much for sharing it. And thank you for sharing also Carla and Jerome that I acknowledged earlier. Also, thank you. Alrighty. So before we move on, we always talk about that handshake. So
Yes.
I had read somewhere once where if you have one of those people that have that really sweaty palms and it's
Yeah.
always wet and clammy, then they teach you about the napkin trick.
Yeah.
Where you get a glass in your hand and you have the napkin around the glass,
Mm-hmm.
so it's basically taking up that moisture from your hand. So when you
Yeah.
actually stand that hand, you're not letting the person say, "Oh dear,"
Yeah.
like okay.
Yeah.
Um, about the vice grip part, not too sure. I know for me, when somebody does that to me, I take my other hand and I put it on top of theirs, right?
Okay.
So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let go now in a nice
Yeah.
way. But yeah, that's what I do. And that was just to show, oh, okay, all right, I would like my hand not,
And back. Yeah.
yeah, not in a abrasive.
But
Okay.
that can take you by surprise, Judy Ann.
Yes.
If it's your first time and somebody grips your hand, they're
Yes.
speaking to you, your mind goes blank. It's like, I'm in pain, right? I'm not really listening to you right now. Please let go. So for the
Right.
gentlemen that are on our call, please, could you just be a little bit more gentle sometimes? We love to
Right.
shake hands, but,
Right.
sometimes your own strength, sometimes, we're not aware. We're not aware.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I've all apart from putting the hand on top of your hand, I've all go ahead and say, very strong hands I see. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that
Yeah.
usually, oh, okay, and that
Yeah.
sometimes works too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
alrighty. So the other question is like, how do you know when to stop pursuing someone that you're interested in networking in?
Okay. So here's how I play it. And I have spoken to some of my friends and we kind of agree on this as well. So
Okay.
you go to the networking event. Let's just say you're at the event, you get a card, and the first attempt is you send them an email just to say, thank you very much. It was nice to meet you.
Mhm.
You might make a point or something that you learnt yesterday evening and you send the email.
Right.
Now, they might not respond straight away. People are on holiday. It might be that they're busy, whatever it may be. Okay.
Hmm.
And, maybe a couple of weeks go by and you think, oh, I sent Judy Ann an email and she didn't respond. Okay. So I'm going to try again.
Right.
And if, say, after that, 4 weeks after that second email,
Hmm.
I haven't heard anything from you, I would then call it a day.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then to add to that, um, I've had instances where I have followed up multiple times and the person did not respond. And it happened to be that there was something crazy in their lives. So for some reason, they just, put it to the side, but they did turn around and follow later on.
Yeah.
So those are, I think that's an exception to the rule too,
Yes.
versus what you just said. And
Yeah.
then the other part, what was I about to say? Actually, we lost my train of thought here. Um, but okay, we can come back to that a little bit later. I'm having a
Okay.
singing moment. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I can. I can. Trust me on that one. That's another whole other subject, Judy
A
Ann.
whole other subject, right?
But I
Okay.
would say, I've given them 2 weeks and then I've given them 4 weeks. So that 6 weeks is about, enough time to get around to your email, do your social media, all of that sort of stuff. It's all about being a bit timely, but I do recognize that, there might be an illness, someone gone on holiday, just workload. So take each one, as it comes. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. And I remember what it was now. Okay, so I'm also seeing Simone. Jan,
Yes?
this is for you. I love you, Simone. I know it's because of Jan, and I love you, dear. Simone is here.
Hey, Simone.
Hey, Simone, please feel free to go ahead and share the live. And okay, you're hearing good stuff. Please do not hesitate to press that love button. And in addition to that, if you have any questions or even just comments that you love to share, I know we do have some corporate as well as entrepreneurial people on this live right now, as I can see. So do not hesitate to add your commentary to this live as well as questions. It makes it more fun, if you will. All righty. So the other follow up to the question that I initially asked about how do you know when to stop pursuing someone, I had also read that um, one of the keys that you can know when to even continue to pursue is that you may naturally overlook, where you respond to that email, you follow up that email that you promised that you would do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then if their response to you is a lot lengthier, they say that's usually an indication
Yes.
of interest.
Absolutely.
Right. At least
Absolutely.
interest in connecting, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I thought that was quite interesting. And then they said in terms of body languages, it makes a difference sometimes if the person leans in towards you when you're speaking.
I'm leaning. I'm leaning, all of you.
All right. Showing all my blemishes now. And then they also said about, of course, the smile. Now, the smile is, I don't know about the smile because I smile a lot. I like to smile.
Yeah.
Either smiling or laughing. But I guess if you're not somebody who, as my mother would call us, a Cheshire cat. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah,
silence, right?
yeah,
You'll understand what that means, right? It just basically means somebody that is just always grinning, I guess, right? So,
yes.
yeah. So if you're not always smiling, grinning, whatever, I think that's a good cue. But I think if you're always smiling, but there's a difference between a genuine smile
And a faked one.
and a fake one because the
Yeah,
difference, the eyes will tell you all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And look, we all know the person who was told, maybe
Hmm.
by a manager, that they need to go to that networking event.
Right.
And they're standing there, the body language, hands are crossed, and it's like, they haven't said anything, Judy Ann, but
Right.
don't come near me. I don't want to talk to you. I'm only here because. And we're intuitive beings, some, a little bit more finely honed than others. And, you may go up to someone and just the way you greet them and they greet you is just a true indicator that I don't want to be bothered today. There's other things on my mind. So, let's use our common sense. Yeah?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read some of the comments that I'm seeing here. So Dr. Cook says, I love that Gmail now gives a reminder you or someone else did not respond. Yes, Carlo, that has been a lifesaver. Sometimes I've forgotten. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and I was quite grateful. So I totally agree there. It does help you.
Yeah.
And then I guess I'm assuming that this is Chantel. Hi, Karen. Karen is traveling and just wanted to say that she's supporting you guys from the road. Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
And hey, Chantel. See, Jen, I should have you on more. Now I'm getting the UK connection.
Well, there you
I guess
go.
because I don't live in the UK, they won't come out for me. You know?
Anytime.
Right? Okay. And then, of course, Simone, love you back. And so Jerome says, I like the 6 week time frame. Okay. Good. Okay. So Leanne is saying, sorry, it's football season. Hello, Jan Sinclair. You all have a blessed day. I had football season. It started
Yeah.
already? Oh.
Yeah. And we've got some matches over here. You guys are over here big time at the moment.
Oh, really? All right. So
Yeah.
I guess I need
Yeah.
to get with the program. I
Yeah.
have not. I get with football when it gets down towards, the Super Bowl part, when it really
Right.
gets interesting. Like now, I couldn't care less.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, yes, and I do remember, now that I think about it, now I do remember the guys yelling at me like, it's football season. What are you doing a live at this time of day? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, okay, whatever. They'll catch the replay if they would like to. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so you know what? So to the gentlemen that are on this live,
Thank
thank you.
you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. A
Yeah.
big thank you. Appreciate it more than ever.
Yeah.
All righty. So we've spoken a little bit about the body language. And then we also spoke about, whether it be the handshakes, but they also said in your stance and the cell phone, which you brought up earlier, you said that you put away that phone.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, because we don't want to be alone in the room, we seem to think that if we then use the cell phone as a help to, okay, well, we look like we're being busy, but what we're missing, our head is down on the cell phone, and people and opportunities and money and connections and our future is passing us by, right?
Yeah. So
Versus, go ahead.
we don't want to waste our time, right? Time's precious. Okay.
Right.
So I would say, listen, if you're going to an event, okay, for those that don't like the N word, the networking word, right?
Right.
Show up fully, be in the room, and make
Right.
that conscious decision that says, right, okay, I'm here now. Okay, I'm going to put my phone away for an hour, or
Mhm.
I'm going to put it on mute. Okay, and I'm
Right.
actively going to spend the next half an hour just going round. You only need to make a couple of connections, but if
Right.
you've got something to sell,
Mhm.
right, and and the competition is stiff, then you're going to want to work a little bit harder, right?
Right.
I read a book about salespeople and within a particular business. They network when they're doing well because now they've got something to talk about. Yeah, and they don't come across as desperate. When business is going bad and you then decide to go network, it's like anybody who will listen to you,
Mhm.
you hold on to. And it's like you start giving away discounts and it sounds desperate, right? And people can
Wow.
pick up on that. So, That's why people in their diary, 2 or 3 times a quarter, they're going, right, I'm going to go to this event. And they'll look down a list and
Mm-hmm.
say, where should I go? Right, I'm going to go to that one because, they are, I don't know, in the banking industry and they're likely to want, this wonderful new app and product that I've just developed. And they'll
Right.
systematically do that just to give out business cards. You might
Mm-hmm.
not be in business in the place to have the business now,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody might say, oh, I was talking to somebody only a few weeks ago. Give them a ring. Give them a call. You never know.
Okay, all right. So, guys, as you see, you got some really key tidbits there. But I think one of the things that I just resonated with me, what you just said, where you said they networking when they're doing well.
Absolutely.
So that is
Absolutely.
an interesting concept because you would think that you want to network, well, basically all the time, but when things are bad, oh, you want to develop business. So you really want to focus on that networking. But as you said, people can smell blood from a mile away. So they're going to say, okay, I can smell fear. I can see there's a problem because you start giving away the discounts. You're
Yeah.
not coming across as confidently as you should.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. So guys, I would love, especially the business owners that are on here, I would love to hear from you about that. What do you think about networking when business is good versus networking when it's not so good? And hi, Pamela Major. By the way, guys, so Pamela and I are actually going to be speaking together at a sisters network ministry at our church at Cathedral International next Friday. So for
Oh.
those of you who are local, feel free to come on by, and of course, we want to drive in and, come in, feel free also and fly in. Hey,
Yeah, that
more
would
the
be nice.
merry. The more the merry. I've actually had a couple of guys say to me, hey, can I come? I said, wait, see that little thing at the top that says sisters? I'm not sure. So yeah, but thank you for the interest. I really appreciate it. That was awfully sweet to even be interested in coming, even though you are male. So thank you. Alrighty, so let us continue. All right, so we spoke about the body language. We spoke about what to do and what not to do, and then we also spoke about the image, the introvert versus the extrovert.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's take us to a little bit further. So Dr. Cook says, like you said, I would think networking at all times are best. Right, but Dr. Cook, give us your also what you think about what she said about networking when it's actually, best when things are going great for you, right? Because and especially you, Dr. Cook, because of what you do. See how she's she's a therapist. That's even better,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So she knows about the whole mind games that we
Yeah.
play with ourselves. Because I could understand what you're saying, and that's why I found it intriguing. Because when you win, right? You are going to give off and exude that air of confidence. I got it like this.
Much more
It's a great,
relaxed.
exactly.
Much
And
more
you're
relaxed.
relaxed. And that's the key
Yeah.
word. Exactly
Yeah.
right. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dr. Cook, I would love to hear that. Okay, so Jerome, who's an entrepreneur, serial one at that, he says, I find the opposite. I find my peers network more when things are slow.
Really? Right.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But you
All right.
see, so I'm just going to add to that. So here's another benefit for
Uh-huh.
networking when business is going good because you're actually building pipeline. So can you imagine,
Okay.
I don't know, a carpenter maybe
Mm-hmm.
who says, yeah, this is what I do. And they say, oh, I'm really, really interested. And I said, yeah, we got a bit of a wait list at the moment. It makes you, a wait list? Are you for real?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he or she must be really good to have a wait list. So
Right.
I'll just add that to in the mix.
Right. Right. I get it. I mean, I totally get it. I never thought about it that way, but it makes sense. It makes sense
Yes.
because for them, perception is reality. So if I tell you, oh, I have this wait list, all of a sudden, oh, dang, she must be that good.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yep.
you know, and even if you don't have one, I guess a little, white lie won't matter here or there. They won't
Mm,
know. I wouldn't recommend it. I'm joking.
yeah. Yeah.
Before people know. I'm joking. Shut up. Joking. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, let's look at we do with integrity here. Okay. Alrighty. So to avoid precious wasting precious time, what types of venues do you think will be most productive? And so let's separate that in, for corporate networking versus, for business networking.
Okay, so I'm going to take away the word venue,
Okay.
okay, and I'm going to say event.
Okay.
Okay, so for me, there are business events that are set up, which could be by industry or by profession.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the agenda, they'll say, and there'll be drinks and food served for time for networking. So there's your key. So you're going along to an event,
Right.
like-minded people. So that's something that you can pick up to talk about as well. But there's going to be a portion of that meeting for
Mm-hmm.
networking. So it gives you the opportunity to kind of work the room, someone you've sat next to, behind, in front,
Right.
maybe the panelist who've asked a question, the person who was hosting. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's an event that I tend to go to.
Okay.
Now, there's personal interests, hobbies and common interests. I do art. I go to an art exhibition. I go to an open art house. You never know who you're going to meet there.
Okay.
Um, I'll give you a quick example. I moved to the south of England 3 years ago. When I came to this sunny coastal area, I knew one person.
Wow.
Okay, and I had lived in London all my life, and so when I came here, of course, I knew the estate agent, and I knew a few people in the building. But I started to think about, okay, so how am I going to increase my network in this area? So in 3 years,
Mm-hmm.
I've I go to a church which is large. Okay, I've met
Mm-hmm.
some friends there. I
Mm-hmm.
went to salsa. I do walking netball. I've met
Okay.
people at the gym, and I've met people in local coffee shops. So I work from home, so sometimes I'll go into the coffee shop, and there'll be a number of people who will just be having coffee and on their laptop, and you see the same faces all the time. So at least
Okay.
after the second or third time, you can say hi. The next
Right.
time it could be, hi, how are you? What days do you come? You learn things from different people. So I would say there are places to go, events to go, rather than kind of venues.
Oh, okay.
Does that
All
make
right.
sense?
It makes a lot of sense. So instead of putting on the label, okay, this is a networking event, you're just this is an event because you've just given the example of the coffee shop, going to church. You've given the example of
The
going to the
gym?
art gallery, the gym,
Yeah,
etc.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right. I can get
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Alrighty. So looking at the comments here, it says Jerome says, okay, all right, I read that one already. But Joe Bennett, sorry, I can relate on a very small scale. I stay backed up. Well, congratulations, and I hope you continue being prosperous. And then Dr. Cook says we can network to learn, and there's no shame in being in a place where we are growing, confidently knowing that you'll still have value and can add value. Dr. Cook, I'm not sure that I don't know if I got from the message that it's anything to do with shame though. I more got that if you are successful, then your body language changes. So you give off that more valuable confidence because you have the data to back it up. Than if I'm brand new and I don't have the data, I may be a confident person by nature, but I'll be even more confident if I have the data to back it up. You know what I mean? It's like I have a little bit more tangible credibility because I can supply you with reference data if I need to. So that's kind of how I took that one. But thank you for saying that, though. I appreciate the dialogue. So thank you.
Judy Ann, I would add to that. So
Sure.
I mentioned my two daughters earlier.
Mm-hmm.
My youngest daughter, she's by trade, and she likes to come to networking events with me.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, she's one of the youngest in the room.
Right.
And the first time I said, why don't you come along? She said, oh, I'm not going to know anybody. What are we going to talk about, etc. She now realizes the benefit of going to those events. She may not know what the topic is, but
Mm-hmm.
she's been reading up on news of the day, that at least she can say, oh, did you hear that Aretha died recently? How sad is that? That's kind of part of her icebreaker. Or what is it that you do rather than your job title. So, for our youngsters, sometimes
Mhm.
it can be quite daunting because it's older people in there. And
Right.
on the other side, I'm 55 now. I go to a lot of events where it's all millenniums, right? Whoa.
Right.
And, they're doing all of this and all of this. And that's the way they network, right? So,
Mhm.
sometimes it can be daunting, but to be able to be flexible and kind of just reinvent yourself, that you can learn something. I just go up to them and say, so what are you doing on that phone then? You know, Show me such and such. I learned Apple Pay recently because that's exactly what I did in a pub. And now I can
Oh
use Apple
wow.
Pay. And my daughters are like, Mom, you're using Apple Pay. How right I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I do feel that we see that's the whole thing because I'm here maybe a month or two back now where we had a cross generational, and I see such great value in no matter the age group. I mean, you could be teenager all the way up. I'll sit and have a conversation with you. I don't really get bothered by it. I don't get irritated. I don't get bothered. I don't feel insecure being
No.
around them
No.
because I would. Matter of fact, they listen. You don't know how to do that. No, I don't. Teach me. There's no shame in my game at
No.
all.
No.
Okay.
Apart
Right.
from my daughters, I actually have 2 or 3 what I call reverse mentors. One of them is in software at work
Right.
because he tells me, he was talking stuff the other day about, seamless servers and uh, partitioning. And I'm like, it's just, when I do this, it means you've gone over my head and I haven't heard. Just break it down in the
Right.
language that I understand. So reverse mentoring, very key, very key.
Yes. Right. Right. So again, as we said, key here, reverse mentoring is not always about just the typical mentoring that we
Yeah.
know. As Janda shared, it is reverse mentoring. So Simone says, agreed and cannot progress in the comfort zone. Exactly, Simone. If we stay in our comfort zone, the truth is we don't grow.
Correct.
It's only when we come out of our comfort zone that we actually do grow. So yes, I cannot agree with you more. So thank you for that, Simone. All right, guys. And for the rest of you who have not shared, even though we're coming up to the top of the hour, please do go ahead and share so the rest of you guys can catch on the replay. And for those who are watching the replay, thank you in advance. And of course, do feel free to use the hashtag, replay. So at least we will know that you were our replay audience. And go ahead and pages so that you would see when we're having, whether it be different lives and various different topics. Also, there is a topic that you would love to hear about and would love to participate on, do feel free to drop it in the comment section also. So then this way I would be able to gauge the interest of what the things that we should actually talk about. So we can have you participate. Because remember, we're not just here just to talk into a camera and listen to ourselves. Rather, we love ourselves, but we love you even more. All right. So yeah. Okay. So guys, you have the opportunity to be also before we get to the end. If there's any burning question on the topic of networking that we haven't covered that you would like to hear covered, please do go ahead and drop it in the comment section. All right. So what are one of the most life-changing career or business results that you've encountered from networking?
Oh, so I was thinking about this. So in 2009, I was invited to an event in London. And what
Mm-hmm.
it was recognizing the top 100 black most influential people in the UK. It had
Wow.
only been in its second year of existence. So the fact that I got an invite, I was really pleased. Okay. So I went along, and I do remember actually that particular evening, I was having, and pardon me, but we all have it. I was having what I call a fat day, okay? And this was 2009, and it was kind of, not sure, not sure. Anyway, I remember getting dressed and I went. And as I was walking into that building, which by the way was just amazing, one of
Mhm.
an old English building, and a guy opened the door for me and he said, "After you, madam." And he was with another gentleman who just literally nearly pushed me out the way to get in. So
Right.
that's fine, that's okay. we put our coats in and we went upstairs. They gave us drinks, etc., etc. And the person who had opened the door, I kind of just watched him all evening. I didn't know who he was. And, all these other guys and girls would, they've done well for themselves. We've got OBEs, we've got Lords, whatever. But just to cut us a long story short, from that meeting, 2009, and that introduction, I met 9 additional people. Okay. And from that, I've got someone that I can go to for legal guidance because he was one of our top lawyers. I got a business mentor who actually came to a work event of mine this Wednesday and was an absolute smash. And he's an OBE. I've been able to coach a couple of people through that, so I've actually got business through that. Although I wasn't a coach at that time, a certified coach. But what I got from that, where I live, it's fireworks going off. I don't know, you might be able to hear that. We have that on us. Yeah, okay. I've got a couple of really good friends from that as well. And in fact, one of the young ladies that I met, I'm now godmother to her son.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That one meeting, 2009, 9 people.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it has transformed my life because, years later, one of them actually invested in my daughter's business. Who knew?
Okay. So basically, as you can see, guys, being able to just network with that one person had that exponential impact where it has continued to pay dividends down the road. Okay. So, alrighty. So you know what? The fireworks is coming on at the right time because we're basically at the end. So it's perfect timing. Alrighty. So Jan, one of the things I wanted to share with we go was, is there anything that you think is quite crucial to us networking in professionally as well as from a corporate aspect, as well as from an entrepreneurial that I haven't asked?
No, I think we've covered it all, to be honest. Oh, I'm so sorry. I had no idea that this was going to be taking place now.
Alive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, actually, there's just my measurement of success in terms of networking, I would say, is when I can call someone directly and ask a favor or fulfill a request on somebody else's behalf. There's a notion of 6 degrees of separation, and that we are only about 6 or 7 steps away from each other or a friend of a friend. So therefore, you probably know someone who knows someone who knows someone. Yeah. And that's what networking is all about. Your network becomes their network and vice versa. And together we're stronger.
Right. Okay. Alrighty, guys. So we thank you so much to Jan. And Jan, if you would like to say anything more about your coaching business, I'll just give you that second to be able to go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So, Sinclair Coaching Practice is all about where my success has been is dealing with people who have come to a crossroads. It could be, your children have left, maybe divorce, or you've got to make a change in your life. You've got to do something different. You want a different life. And that's where, just asking powerful questions and having that conversation that we can actually set some goals and move people forward. So that's what I do in coaching. And I offer a free 30-minute consultation. It's probably 45 minutes is what you'll get. But we can just talk, and we'll talk about the 7 pillars of your life and just see where we can make a change. So if you want to contact me, please do. I would love to, speak to some of you. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. And just as a recap, my name again is Judy Ann Chung. And as you can see, we're both coaches. And she's in the UK. I am in the US. Of course, Jan, do me a favor. Can you mute your end? Hot minutes. Yeah, no worries. Right. So that's part of life, guys. That's what happens. So you, fortunately, it happened at the end. But my name is Judy Ann Chung, and I am your leadership coach for Coaching You Upwards. I too do offer that 30-minute jumpstart strategy where you're welcome to call me. You can go on my website, which is coachingyouupward.com. And it is getting louder, so I am going to end. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. You
Oh,
love you all, and thank you to Jan for you're now getting quiet for a second. So again,
okay.
guys.
Thank you,
See, listen, you
guys.
know how powerful Jan is, that she brings the fireworks with her. That's all I'm going to say about
Hey,
that.
what can I say?
All
All
right.
right.
All right,
Take care,
guys. Thank
guys.
you so much. Bye bye, everyone. Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye bye.
Bye.